They think they know her, bonnets and balls and polite romance, teacups and country estates. Nice stories about nice girls finding nice husbands. Wrong. Jane Austen was a savage. She was writing satire so sharp it could draw blood. She was eviscerating the society she lived in while making it look like harmless entertainment. She died at 41, poor, unmarried, anonymous. Her novels were published without her name on them, just by a lady, but she changed literature forever. She invented the modern novel. She made women's interior lives matter. She proved you could write about ordinary people in ordinary situations and create art that would outlast empires. And she did it all while pretending to be harmless. That was her genius. She smiled sweetly while burning everything down. Jane was born in 1775 in Hampshire, England, seventh of 8 children. Her father was a country rector, poor but educated, genteel but broke. This matters. Jane grew up with 1 foot in the gentry and 1 foot in poverty. She saw how the class system worked from both sides. She also grew up surrounded by books. Her father had hundreds of them, novels, essays, poetry. He encouraged his daughters to read everything, to think, to write. This was radical. Most girls of her class learned needlework and how to catch a husband. Jane learned how to think critically and express herself brilliantly. She started writing young. Teenage Jane wrote parodies of the popular novels of her day, ridiculous Gothic romances, sentimental drivel about fainting heroines. She ripped them apart, made them absurd. Her early writing is hilarious and mean. She had no patience for stupidity or pretension. She also had no patience for the marriage market. But she was stuck in it. Here is the thing nobody tells you about Jane Austen. She had to get married. Had to. Her father made maybe £600 a year. When he died, that income would die with him. Jane and her mother and sister Cassandra would have nothing, no money, no home, no security. The only escape was marriage. But marriage meant giving up everything. Your money became your husband's. Your body became your husband's. Your entire legal existence disappeared into his. You could not own property, could not sign contracts, could not leave if he was cruel or drunk or unfaithful. Jane saw this trap clearly, and she refused it. In 1802, Jane was 27, officially a spinster, running out of time and options. Then Harris Bigwither proposed. He was 21, 6 years younger than Jane, wealthy, owned a huge estate. Marrying him would solve every financial problem, would give her mother and sister security, would give Jane a home and position and comfort for life. She said yes. That night she could not sleep, could not breathe. The next morning she took it back, broke the engagement, walked away from security and money and her family's future. Can you imagine the courage that took? Knowing she was condemning herself to poverty and dependence? Knowing her mother and sister would suffer too? Knowing society would call her foolish and selfish? She did it anyway. Because she could not marry without love, could not sell herself, could not live a lie. This is the woman who wrote Elizabeth Bennet rejecting Mr. Darcy the first time, who wrote Anne Elliot refusing Captain Wentworth under pressure, who wrote Emma Woodhouse declaring she would never marry. Jane knew exactly what she was writing about. She lived it. Jane had been writing seriously since her early 20s. First Impressions was finished by 1797. Her father tried to get it published. Publishers rejected it. She rewrote it. It became Pride and Prejudice, the most famous novel in the English language. Publishers rejected it. She kept writing. Sense and Sensibility, Northanger Abbey. She wrote while doing the endless domestic tasks expected of unmarried daughters: sewing, visiting, taking care of sick relatives, running the household. Women's work. Invisible work. She wrote on small pieces of paper she could hide quickly if someone came into the room. Because ladies did not write novels. It was not proper, not respectable. She had to keep it secret even from visitors to the house. Think about that. She was writing masterpieces on scraps of paper hidden in her sewing basket, between needlework and social calls, in stolen moments, in secret. In 1811, Sense and Sensibility was finally published, anonymously, by a lady. Jane was 35 years old. It got decent reviews, made a small profit, not enough to live on. Not enough to give her independence, but it was something. Pride and Prejudice came out in 1813. It was a sensation. Everyone was reading it, talking about it, quoting it. The Prince Regent loved it, high society loved it. Nobody knew who wrote it. Jane could walk through London and hear people discussing her characters, debating whether Mr. Darcy or Mr. Bingley was more handsome, arguing about whether Elizabeth was too proud. And she could not say a word, could not claim it, had to smile and stay silent. Here is what makes Jane Austen revolutionary. She was not writing romance novels. She was writing about money, power, women's complete lack of both. Every plot in every Austen novel is driven by economics. Women need to marry because they need money to survive. They cannot inherit, cannot work, cannot exist independently. Marriage is not romance. It is economic necessity. Elizabeth Bennet has to marry well, or she and her sisters will be destitute when their father dies. The estate goes to Mr. Collins. The girls get nothing. Emma Woodhouse can reject Mr. Knightley because she has money of her own. She is the only Austen heroine who does. Anne Elliot lost Captain Wentworth because she had no money and was persuaded he was a bad investment. Jane was writing about the trap women lived in, but she was doing it so subtly that people thought she was just writing love stories. That was her genius. She hid the revolution in a romance, made it look harmless, made it entertaining, slipped the truth in while everyone was distracted by the courtship plot. And the way she wrote, the irony, the free indirect discourse. She invented a narrative technique that let her show you a character's thoughts while also commenting on them, making you see how ridiculous or self-deceived they were. It is so sophisticated that critics are still analyzing it 200 years later. Jane's father died in 1805. Just as she had feared, the income disappeared. Jane and her mother and sister were suddenly dependent on Jane's brothers for charity. They were passed around, moved constantly, had no home of their own. Her brother Edward had been adopted by rich relatives and inherited estates. He could have supported them comfortably. He gave them a cottage, a tiny cottage in the village near his great house, just enough to keep them from starving, not enough to live with dignity. Jane was writing Mansfield Park in that cottage, writing about Fanny Price, poor relation living on charity in a great house, treated as lesser, as burden, as obligation. People think Fanny is weak, passive. They miss the point. Fanny has no power, no money, no choices. She survives by being grateful and invisible, just like Jane had to be. The irony, Jane was writing novels that were making money and fame for publishers, that were being read by the Prince Regent and high society. And she was living on charity from a brother who could have given her comfort but chose not to. Her novels were published anonymously because she had to protect her reputation, because writing for money was vulgar, because ladies did not work. So she could not claim her success, could not use it to gain independence. The money went to publishers. She got a little, not enough. In 1816, Jane started getting sick. Tired all the time, weak, pain. She kept writing. Persuasion, her most mature novel, about second chances, and enduring love, and women claiming their own happiness. About Anne Elliot, who gets to choose Captain Wentworth this time, who gets her happy ending at 27. The age Jane had been when she refused Harris Bigwither. She started another novel, Sanditon, a satire about a ridiculous seaside resort and the absurd people trying to make money from it. It is sharp and modern and hilarious. She wrote 11 chapters, then she was too sick to continue. Modern doctors think it was Addison's disease, or lymphoma, or Hodgkin's disease, something that slowly killed her, something that caused pain and exhaustion and wasting. 18th century doctors had no idea. They bled her, gave her useless treatments. She got worse. In May 1817, she moved to Winchester to be near better doctors. Her brother Henry and sister Cassandra took care of her. She was dying, she knew it. She wrote her will, left almost everything to Cassandra, a few small bequests to servants. She died on July 18, 1817. She was 41 years old. Jane's family buried her in Winchester Cathedral. Important space, expensive space. The inscription on her grave mentions her virtues and her Christian faith and her family connections. It does not mention that she wrote novels. Not one word about the 6 published books that were already becoming classics. Nothing about Pride and Prejudice or Emma or Persuasion. Just that she was a good woman who died young. Her brother Henry finally revealed her authorship in a biographical note published with Northanger Abbey and Persuasion after her death. He made her sound sweet and harmless, a dear sister who wrote charming little stories. He erased the sharpness, the satire, the anger. For decades, that was the story. Jane Austen, the spinster aunt, who wrote nice novels about manners. Gentle Jane, sweet Jane, harmless Jane. They missed everything. The rage beneath the irony, the social criticism hidden in the comedy, the way she eviscerated the patriarchy while smiling sweetly, the way she showed that women's minds and hearts and choices mattered just as much as men's. 200 years later, Jane Austen is everywhere. Her novels have never been out of print. They have been adapted hundreds of times. Movies, TV series, modernizations, sequels, zombies added to Pride and Prejudice because, why not? Her books sell millions of copies. Scholars write thousands of papers analyzing her technique. Tourists visit her cottage and her grave. She is on the British 10-pound note. Her face is famous now, finally, but here is what really matters. She proved that women's stories matter, that domestic life is worthy of serious art, that you do not need wars and kings and great events to write something profound. She proved that an unmarried woman with no money and no power could create art that would outlast everything, that the novel could be a tool for social criticism and psychological insight, that irony and intelligence could be revolutionary. Every writer who uses free indirect discourse owes her. Every story about ordinary people living ordinary lives owes her. Every novel that takes women's choices seriously owes her. She wrote about the world she knew, the only world available to her as a woman, and she made it matter, made it universal, made it art. Jane Austen never got to vote, never got to own property, never got to sign a contract in her own name, never got to claim her novels publicly while she lived, never got financial independence, never got the life she deserved. But she got revenge. She wrote it all down, every injustice, every economic trap, every way society failed women, and she made people laugh while doing it, made them love the books while missing the revolution inside them. She died poor and anonymous, but her books lived. They spread, they endured, they changed how we think about fiction and women and what matters in a story. Elizabeth Bennet refusing Darcy the first time, telling him he is the last man in the world she could be prevailed upon to marry. That is Jane refusing Harris Bigwither, refusing to sell herself, choosing poverty and uncertainty over a comfortable lie. Anne Elliot getting a second chance at love, choosing Wentworth this time. That is Jane imagining what could have been, what should have been, the happy ending she never got. Emma Woodhouse declaring she does not need to marry because she has her own money. That is Jane's fantasy. Independence, choice, freedom, the things she never had. She put her life in those books, her intelligence, her wit, her anger, her defiance, her hope. And 2 centuries later, we are still reading them, still learning from them, still seeing ourselves in Elizabeth and Emma and Anne. They tried to make her harmless. Sweet spinster Jane writing little romances. They put her in a box labeled classic literature and thought they had contained her. But you cannot contain a revolution, even one conducted in drawing rooms with teacups and irony. Jane Austen was a bomb hidden in a bonnet. She exploded everything, changed everything, won everything. She just did it so brilliantly that nobody noticed until it was too late. That is Jane Austen, the revolutionary nobody saw coming, the writer who changed the world from a cottage in Hampshire with nothing but paper and a pen and the sharpest mind in England. She died anonymous. She won anyway. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe for more films about women who shaped culture in quiet, revolutionary ways. Jane Austen may have written about small worlds, but her insight, courage, and wit continue to resonate far beyond them.